Okay, last video from my last session of the day from South by Southwest, day 2. This is Jack Yates, graduate student, Masters of Science in Marketing at DU. And this is going to be an interesting one because I'm going to describe this session as a case study for bad event marketing. So the event itself is called Energia, Pura, Vida. And when you're looking through the South by Southwest schedule on your app or on your computer, you kind of think, well, what the heck does that mean? And it says it's presented by Essential Costa Rica. Okay, what is that? The format says special event. The type is special event. And it's like, okay, so what is that? It was held at the fairground, which I think is like a very generous term. It's kind of just like a little outdoor park by a food court. But basically what it is was a really not so great example, again, of event marketing from the Bureau of Tourism from Costa Rica. So you kind of walk into this area, concrete, and then there's a grass hill and some trees above you. It's a nice little park. And there's a bunch of these little booths, and if you walk into one of the booths, you think it's like a photo booth or something immersive. You walk in, and there's basically a tropical air freshener you'd find from CVS. My booth, at least, had that. It had a little fan going on the ceiling, like a little like that with like a clip. A stuffed gibbon, like a little stuffed animal gibbon monkey, and a touch screen that took of a website that was just like the Costa Rica tourism website that took forever to load and had no real interactives and was like a pretty poorly designed website to begin with. Like you'd click on something like Explore Costa Rica and it wouldn't work, and then you'd have to tap it like 3 or 4 times before a drop-down menu came, and you'd have to do that again. And it just didn't really work. And it was, again, like so much information. It wasn't fun. It wasn't engaging. And it was these booths. I'm talking about the booths specifically. And it was more frustrating than anything else. So after a while of just like struggling with the interface, I just kind of gave up and exited the booths. And then for some reason, they had a big map of Costa Rica, like huge, like 10 feet by like 8 feet, which was like kind of cool. And it broke it down by regions, and it was like, okay, this doesn't really make me want to visit it. It's not like a picture of like the scenic countryside or mountains or waterfalls. It's just like a map. It's like, okay, cool. And then for some reason they had a VIP lounge that I was not allowed in that had a bar, an open bar, and a bunch of food. I was there around 5 p.m. and one of the people working the event told me, oh, they were going to open it to the public at 7. And you're like, okay, sure. And then they had this whole DJ stand set up with speakers on a raised platform stage. And there was a gentleman walking around with a microphone who every now and again would really loudly announce, like, 7 p.m. we're going to be having Costa Rican DJs coming, Costa Rican musical artists. Come listen to them. It's going to be great. And, that sounds fun. It probably could be kind of cool after 7, but the issue is that the event runs from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m., so for most of the day, it's kind of just like this empty space that's like roped off that you can go into, and one of the workers at the event, and these are not South by Southwest workers, these are the people like working with the Costa Rica Tourism Board, told me that there was going to be there was a raffle to win a free trip to Costa Rica, and then when you went to the raffle booth, there was just no one there. I was even admittedly there yesterday walking by, and there was no one at the raffle booth then either. So that was kind of strange. And then there was one booth that was a neck and head massage booth that you look in, and it's 3 people in chairs with folks just like rubbing their necks and their heads in like a really too confined space in a line of like 20 people to get in. and you're just kind of confused by that. You're like, what does this have to do with Costa Rica? Who are these people? This doesn't look fun. It's a cramped space for massages. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, in a lot of my marketing classes, we're always taught that event marketing is a great way to do outbound marketing strategies as opposed to inbound marketing strategies. And, this was one of those events where you looked at it and you're like, this has a lot of potential. But they just didn't really pull it off. There was nothing to do. They didn't really demonstrate a lot about Costa Rica. Their messaging on the South by Southwest website / app was really poor and unclear. They didn't really say how you become a VIP. They just said, you're not one, so you don't get to go in. And they didn't really tell me why I wasn't or how I could become one. And why run an event all day when the only fun part is going to start at 7 if the event ends at 10? So there's only really 3 hours of cool DJing and a bar to try to maybe get people have some fun to inspire them to visit Costa Rica. And there was even talk on the website about there being coffee. That you could go there during the day and get coffee. I saw nowhere to get coffee. There was nothing about coffee. And there were barely any people there, and everyone just seemed like they wanted to get a free massage and leave, except for the people in the VIP area, which who knows how they got in there. What they should have done is really had big showcases of Costa Rica. Maybe the booths could have been fun photo booths with backgrounds of a Costa Rican mountain or a beach, so you could take a photo in the photo booth and look, I'm in Costa Rica. Or had an interactive video that you could watch that was just a planet Earth version of Costa Rica. They could have something a little bit more about the culture. There was zero culture, and I can't really speak to it because I don't know anything about Costa Rican culture, but if there's any kind of dance associated with the country, any kind of cultural outfit associated with the country. I didn't even see a Costa Rican flag. I mean, that's how weirdly designed this thing was. Everything was just all kind of green and jungle colored, which could have been anywhere. And okay, you're bringing in Costa Rican DJs. That's cool. Everybody likes a fun DJ, but maybe during the day, around lunchtime, is there a Costa Rican folk art musician that could play? Could you hang up folk art around the area? Share anything about the culture? They were basically just saying it's a place with beaches. They didn't show pictures of beaches and a lot of jungle, but they showed a lot of pictures of jungle. And I'm mentioning this event because it's a great case study in what not to do in my mind, from a marketing strategy that I've been taught in a lot of my classes as being really effective. And it was something that I wish was effective because it had a really fun space that they pulled out. They just didn't really pull it off. And I guess for my own educational takeaway, it's helpful to see what doesn't work.